told you about the past pollination research. I'm going to take you through another path of the past GDD research that has been occurring many years ago. And we pick it up because we have more weather stations in the province. So I'm going to take you all through the research background and why we're doing it, and the past research summary, and also our last year. In the current project we are doing, I want to give you a 2024 research season update, and combining with all our last 3 years research, we want to give you some kind of reliable data that everybody can use in Nova Scotia. And I can guarantee they're going to be 100% accurate, but we have got to this point. I think we should be brave and using this tool for management and also to help with the researchers to do their research. We have a lot of researchers focusing on GDD tool, models for pollination, etc. So the research background, so the benefits of putting or doing your field activities in the ultimate window is so critical, and you can have so many reasons to say why it's beneficial to have field activities on this ultimate window. You can guarantee your crop safety, you can have better chemical performance when you're doing your curve, when you're doing your spring herbicide application. You want to make sure those chemicals are put in the right time, right condition, and all our weather stations will be giving you that every 15 minutes information to do that. So the other one, it will be only pollination efficiency. I think that's one of the very top priority in the industry. We always run into issues with pollination in different aspects, environment, pollination, etc. So because of those benefits, it's very important for you to, as a grower, to have a reliable and maybe somehow accurate, as accurate as you wish, scheduled in a whole year, so you know when to do it. And I have learned over the years, I know we always encourage growers go to field to check their fields so they can determine the crop stages. Some people are using their spring records from the past. There's one thing I learned very interesting. Some people look at their neighbors whenever the first sprayer in the region go out, that's the day they will go out to start whatever Monolinea spray or put bees in there. So that's another interesting to know. But it's very important to have a reliable and accurate schedule. However, we are in Nova Scotia, we're in the maritime climate. It's very hard for us to know what kind of spring we're going to get into. Could be a very dry or warm spring, or could be wet and cool. So over the last few years, we have experienced very warm and early spring, especially 2024 season, and we can show you some of the data we collected over this past in this season. So because of challenges of predicting your crop and know when to do your activities in Nova Scotia, so we try to come up with different ways to make this more efficient. One of the more scientific way is to using the growing degree days model, which essentially will tell you a plant or insect or anything you want to study that will require growing condition to be meet the growing condition to reach that ultimate or that desired crop stage. That's essentially the growing degree day is doing to us. And it's a neutral and it's a very scientific number-based tool. There's no bias. You simply collect the weather station data in air temperature or other parameters. Right now, we only focus on the air temperature. So it's a great tool, and it's been using in other crop productions for in many other crops, and it's working good. One of the good examples would be in corn industry. They are using a corn heat unit. So that's kind of some other examples we have in other industry. It's great. We want to use it in blueberries. But I think the trouble over the last couple of years is we have some research, very good research and data that will able to guide us on this, but we don't have that logistics support on the weather station. So in 2021, we're fortunate, and 2022, 2023, eventually now we have 55 out of 100 weather stations that we can monitor, and we have ability to control and to develop those further tools under those 100 weather stations. But 55 are in wild blueberry fields. It's pretty good coverage. It's the largest crop that has the most weather station in the province. And along with that, we also have a farm data tools launched in 2022 or 2021. And with that tool, one of a very good calculator is the GDD calculator. So you go in there, you pick weather stations, and you're able to know your weather station's GDD, and you compare to our recommended numbers. And that's how we get into this idea. So with this timeline, I'm going to show you some key and some very influential research that I run into, and I think it's very inspiring to read those old papers or use those past research to give us a fast a tool for us in the production. So the first one, Dr. Leonard Eaton, they have a couple years of research from 2007 to 2008, and they published a paper in 2009. The paper is talking about a ripening index for commercial blueberry. So it's essentially, they want to know when is the best time to pick blueberries using GDD tool. So what they found in their model is, and I want to say that first, we are running into different parameters, including starting day or base temperature. So in this study, they are using May 1st as a start date, and they are using base temperature of 5. If you have using GDD tool in the past 2 seasons, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then we can come back to talk about those information. But under this condition, they found 1,000 to 1,010 GDD is what they recommended, the best timing to pick your crop field. And also found another very interesting information, which I found it's good to validate that. And then fortunately, I think we are able to confirm that information as well in our last the last 2 years of study. The average amount of GD is needed from when you see your first ripening fruit or first few patches of ripening fruit until you can go pick your field. You need about 400 to 500 GD to reach that point. So that's very useful. Once you know, once you see your first couple of patches of ripening fruit, you know the date, you know the GDD for that date, another 400 to 500. In this model, but we have newer information on that. So you add 400, 500, you know roughly what day in August or is it July you might be picking your field. So that's kind of the idea. And I found this study is helping a lot when we design the experiment and in terms of what crop stages to study. As you know, fruit ripening is complicated, and so we are happy to have their the previous study for us to look at some to avoid some mistakes in that. The second study I want to show, and very short after 2008, that's Scott. I don't know if that's his PhD study, but he did a study from 2009 to 2011 and published a paper in 2012. So this paper, he looked at the GDD information for the blueberry plants to emerge and to reach the tip dieback and the percentage of bloom under different GDD. And essentially this paper, I'm going back. Essentially this paper is transfer the information into this big table that we have been using over the last 3 years, where we recommend the plant emergency and tip dieback, which is not so practical at this point, but I think it has some potential to maybe guide your leaf disease spray. We require more application for the leaf disease, but timing is also a very critical thing to consider. Especially in the middle of the summer, you are going to get ready for your picking. So the bloom one, which I think is definitely a very, very important thing to have for the industry, is to know when during that 3 short week of bloom period, how the blueberry bloom is progressing. So this whole information is very useful in terms of its result and also the material and methods, which we have been following closely with this paper and how he did, or how the team did this study. Everybody's wondering why we start with April 1st, base temperature of 0. That's what we follow on, and we try to make everything consistent when you go into the calculator. We don't need you to put into too many different selections, so you can just hit a calculate, and then you get your number you need. That's on the research side, but on the extension and practical side, this study also, and I believe Scott is continuing validate those information, especially on the plant emergency GDD number, to make it as accurate as possible under recent our climate patterns. So this information translates into a very nice recommendation is when you are doing your spring pre-emergence herbicide such as Chiquera, Ignite, or even Spartan, anything you want to put on in your sprout fields in the springtime, I think that is a good indicator for you to follow is how early you can get into the field. I think once the weather station has reached, or whenever the road is walkable, or the weather station reach about 150, I think that's the time you can start thinking about going into the field. And you have about a week until 200 GDD if you are doing some very crop safety sensitive herbicide like such as Chiquera, then you want to be very careful. You don't want to go too late. But we have been using this information over the last 2 years to guide people to put in the spring herbicide even earlier because as you know, last couple of seasons, our blueberry plants, they came up pretty early in the season. So in between of 2011 and 2012, that's about 10 years time that, as I showed you, we have some good, scientific information, and we have the needs for us to know when to plan our activities. But during this 10 years of time, we didn't really have any practical use of it, and the biggest challenging is weather station. So I have been working on some weather stations before with Dr. Percival and Dr. Scott White, and in the past, all those weather station models, they are pretty old-fashioned ones, and you need to go to the field, automatically download a number, and before the snow, you want to get in there before the winter so you don't lose all the data for the season. It was very challenging before for you to do research and then collect data. But within 10 years, the technology developed. Now we have, on the right-hand side here, this is very nice. You have a solar panel, you have all kinds of sensors here, and it allows you to upload the data to the cloud, and you can access the data in 15 minutes, in every 15 minutes from your phone or from your computer. So this really gives us a very, very good starting point and some of the encouragement for us to continue this research and to see how this can better fit into your management program. So in 2012, that's the first year we have 17 stations in the wild blueberry fields. And the same year, we're also working to develop the farm data tool, so you have a way to calculate those weather stations GDD and the farm data tool now, I have some good feedback from growers, and we are working, I call that seasonal maintenance for the weather, for the farm data tool. We are under the seasonal maintenance to upgrade that system into version 2, which is going to give you more power to do a lot of data sharing, data downloading, and maybe give you some graph from your GDD so you can download it, keep it as a record for the future. So that's what we did in 2012. And besides that, 17 or 15 weather stations in blueberry fields, that's how many weather stations our network is connected to, but not all of them are able to give you that full ability capacity to calculate or use that weather station's data. The reason being that some of weather station belongs to different partners, and they only want to share certain data, or because they have different brands for the weather station. Most of our weather station is the Davis, so there might be some logistic challenges in there. But I was talking to a grower from Cape Breton, and they don't have any weather station near their blueberry field, but you probably can find any weather station near you within 5 minutes or 5 kilometers near you. So there's no lack of weather station, and we are trying to make sure this station, working with more partners to bring in more station, and then those stations we can have a full data sharing capacity to help you to use those tools in the Perennia's farm data tool. Okay, that took us to 2022. Last was the year we finished all the weather station installation on the ground, and that gave us 55, and that really gave us a very good weather station network for us to do some research. So on the same year, we did a lot of extension activities to show people how to get the data from weather station, how to access weather station number or information, and all those very basic stuff for weather station. And we're also starting some of our presentations to introduce the GDD concept of on that year. And on that year, we took a very quick study on to establish some of the F2 stages GDD thresholds to help with your monilinear bright spray. In 2022, we have trials in Murray Siding, Belmore, Granholm, and Oxford, and Nim Mountain. And remember, we only can go to where the weather stations are installed in the field. 2022 F2 GDD, that's the table, that's the information we got from that year. It really gave us a good starting point for to build some baseline for us to continue working into 2023, where we think this has a very good potential. And we have a tool, we have a weather station, we have the research data that is available for us to start validate. So we think it's good to get into this research and then see how this can translate into a more practical extension tool and management tool for you. We got a money from WP Pens, and then we did a 2-year study in first year will be in 2023. So besides looking the F2 for your monilinear spray, we look into broom as well, and we also looking into the berries. In 2023, we have all our trials mostly incumbent, because in the first year we didn't have any size incumbent, but that would be a mistake if you don't go there to test some of your numbers. So we went there and we were able to got those three tables that you are following this season, which the first one will be the F2. So that's combining 2021 and 2022 numbers. That will be a broom number that only has the data from 2023, and also 2023 that is the percentage of ripening to help with. So that this year we have been recommending growers, 40% F2 to kind of planning your monilinear management, and kind of following about 25% broom or a little bit further to, bee placement, fungicide application, everything in that short 3 weeks. The last one will be on the fruit. So this table essentially gave you the information, two information. The fields can get to their first brew around, I can see the numbers, I'm going to 1,142. When the weather station get to 1,700 GDD, that's the point the field is harvestable. And that information, I was very happy to talk to a few growers this summer, and they said that's the most accurate in all three stages. I think the reason is, you are in April, May, June for F2 and broom. That's 2 months. You can get all kinds of weather changes in like 2-3 days. So it's very hard for you to have a stabilized weather pattern in those 3 months. But when you get into July, August, I think the weather kind of stay in a certain way, and so it really helps with the growers' decision making on when to start harvesting. Okay, in 2024, we want to continue. So we have the sites from Colchester, Cumberland, and people complain why don't you come to Pictou or other locations? So we did a few now 2 sites in Pictou, and we continue to have Colchester sites 3 years in a row, because we want to compare not just the locations, but we also want to compare years in a row and seasons in a row, how things are changing and how our brewery development is changing over in a few years of time. With all the information we have from 2021 until 2024, we hope to give you, and because of the study we did, we didn't really find a big variation on the numbers we want to give you. So I think at the end of today and before next season, before you go to do your management, and we want to have some of the provincial-wide numbers that everybody can use the same. No, we don't have a self number for Colchester. We don't have a self just a Cumberland, but a self number everybody can use to do the decision making. So this year we have 5 sites, 1 in Belmore, 1 in Murray Siding, 1 in Camden, that's all 3 in Colchester. And we also have 2 sites, 1 in Blue Mountain and 1 in Moose River. And all those blue areas you saw here they are all blueberry fields. So we try to go to where the most center of all the fields at, and the weather stations available. So I want to quickly have 2 slides to show you how we did it. The reason why I want to show it is because I think it's a very good and easy task for growers to do. If you have a weather station or if you are very keen on tracking your numbers, you can spend 1 or 2 seasons just doing this task in your field, and then you'll be able to get the most accurate, or at least the more accurate information for your own area. But what we did is very simple. We went into the field and we picked 30 random stems. We did consider different clones, different variety, the edges of the field and the center of the field. We try to consider all the factors could possibly impact the development of blueberry. So we flagging them, and we use those stems from April until July. We study the F2 development. We study the bloom progress. We also did the ripening fruit. So the calculation. So we use the same formulation for bloom and fruit as well. So like how you did your F2 percentage counting, you go in there, pick a stem, count a total number, and you know how many are in F2, you did the percentage, and you average all 30 stems from the field. That's how we got the percentage of F2 on a day we visit, and we continue doing that. We did that twice a week. We did that twice a week, and from July and August. So we got a big set of data, and it really helped us to understand the blueberries development over the period of time. Okay, and the number so 2024, that's the number, the final number I have. But before I show this number, it combines all 5 sites, and we did some statistical analysis, and we took out some of the weird points. Some point are kind of weird because some deers might chew it, or some kind of missing in there. So we have a hard time to keep all 30 stems safe, like how you worry about your honeybees and the bumblebee boxes. We have trouble with deers in the field when we did this study. So if you are doing it, make sure you protect your stems and flags very well. Probably doesn't mean anything to you, but if we compare to the last 2 years number, so first thing I want to say is everybody know it's a very early bloom season, and also the bloom came in like 2 to 3 days, very quick. And you can compare here, see the starting point of our. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, I'm still in F2. Sorry, if you compare the 2024 F2 GDD to 2023 year by year, and at 5% F2, there's no big difference. But you did realize that it's an early season this year, and we compare to 10%, 20%. Those numbers are fairly close to each other, and the trouble we have is during 40% and 60% F2, which is the time you need to know exactly when the field is in the 40% or higher F2 stages. During this time of year, because the weather changes quite often, so we did find, different season, you tend to get different numbers based on how early your spring is. So this year you can see at 154 compared to last 2 years. It was early. But overall, I don't think there's a huge difference in between years and stages. The only thing I'll be cautious is the 40% and 60% F2. You need to be checking your fields more closely, and maybe when you know your fields better, you would have your more precise number in there. But we average all 3 years number, and then this table is, I think, it fairly, when we compare this average number to other sites and data we collect in the past few years, this is the most accurate number that we can put out to describe all the 3 main production counties in Nova Scotia. But obviously, you can look at in different counties and different locations to have more precise one. But I think this one, we are confident to push it out and then start using it next year in the production extension work and field work. The next one will be on the bloom, and we talk a lot about the importance of understand when your bloom is going to show up and when to do your management. So that's why we do it. Why we want to continue to study this after the F2. So as Andrew mentioned this morning, they are also looking into the more scientific and precise bloom GDD for wild blueberries, and I think that's great. They are doing it because when you're looking at a bloom, it has a lot of factors that would impact the bloom development, not just the air temperature, the soil temperature, the soil types, and the overwinter bud counts, and also your spring moisture. Those are all of the factors that need to be considered into the GDD model for bloom. And I'm glad they are doing it. And I know Scott is working with a graduate student to do some lab work as well. For us, because we already have our material and methods design, and it's very easy for us to count a bloom. So we continue with our same methods for F2, and we only consider air temperature. In 2023, that's the number we got, and around 400 GED, you are looking about 25% of bloom. And I can compare this year's to 2023 in a second. So in 2023, I was actually too far. And okay, so in 2024, as I mentioned, it was pretty early for the bloom to start, and you can see that from right here. In 2024, we are looking only 300 GDD, and while in 2023, it's 353. So you're almost 50 GDD difference in between. And if you do the calculation, the whole bloom period before 70%, they're almost like a week early than last year. And if you compare to your previous year, I think it's going to be even earlier. So yeah, so that's the information that we got from this. And we average 2 years. As I mentioned, we only consider air temperature, so we don't want to think too much, average them and see how this is going to come out. So we compare this 2 years average to what Scott found in 2012. That's about 12 years ago. You can see if you pick a number to look at it, you are early. So we are all agree that we have an earlier bloom in blueberries nowadays and compared to a decade ago. And I think bloom GDD or bloom development study is also one of the very stable one in terms of variation. I don't find the variation in between regions because those numbers, say the set of number in 2023, it seems to be working for Pictou as well, or in other areas. So it seems to be working well without too much of variation. The last one will be on the fruit. So the reason why we study fruit, as I mentioned, I read this paper from Dr. Leonard Eaton, and I found this is a very useful information. So again, base temperature 5 degree, May 1st, they found 1,000 to 1,100 is the GDD they recommended, and they think 400 to 500 GDD is what is needed from the first ripening to a harvestable point. And what we found here this year, I also want to compare the first proof here first. It was also a very early ripening year in the field. You can see a lot of fruits are approved quite early this year. So you can see here that it really gives you that information. And it's also an early harvesting season. And as everyone can remember, you guys went out early and then finished early this year. So it seems like those numbers are telling us a story about how our season was doing compared to the previous years. Again, we did a 2 years average, and the reason being that is same as the bloom. The variations between the GDs of the blueberry ripening fruit in different regions, it doesn't have a big variation in between regions. And even though this year was super early, but you can see it when it gets down to end of July, August, by the time you can start picking 90% ripening, it goes back to around 1,700 GDD at the end. So it has been a consistent good number for us to look at and to use to determine when your crop field could reach to a harvestable point. The second information I mentioned is they found out the first proof to 90%. So say to the harvestable point is between 400 to 500 GDD in 2009, where if you subtract the same color numbers, we are looking in between 550 to 700 GDD, and the big difference there is because we use the best temperature of 0, while they use 5. So their number need to subtract 5 each single day, while we didn't do that. So it makes sense for us, under April 1st and base temperature 0, you are going to have a higher number compared to 400 to 500. But the theory is the same. There's a correlation between when you start seeing your ripening fruit in the field and then when you can picking. I think there's a math you can follow, as I say. Do the calculation whenever you start reaching to say 1,142 and under 550 to 700 GDD, you probably know your earliest point of picking day and roughly the latest you can go to your field. So that's the information we found and we validate, and I think this is a useful information to determine your harvesting timeline, especially during the July, August, where you might have a hurricane or something going on. You want to make sure you get in there, pick it. So I have two very simple recommendations. We have been talking about GDD over the last 2-3 years. I hoped this would give you some kind of idea and you would see the benefits of using this, so you don't need to go to your fields in the spring. And I don't think many people do. I learned that from my last 3 years farm visits. Not many growers are waiting for somebody to come and to visit fields. Then I think they will be visiting their fields every 2 to 3 days or every week. But that's not the case. But our tool can help you with that, so you don't feel guilty without looking your field. Pick your weather station. We have more than 100 weather stations you can use, or possibly more. I think we are adding another 24 in the province on top of 100. But well, they think we have too many in weather state in blueberry field, so they want to diversify and then hopefully can cover a bigger area of our province. I don't think that's a bad thing, because if it's under the program, under the platform, you'll be able to use it if it's in the hay field or cornfield. Doesn't matter. It's the same idea. So pick your weather station and then start getting familiar with the farm data tool. We have a GDD calculator there. We also have a digital soil map in the farm data tool. We also try to push out more tools based on the weather station we have. And yeah, it's a lot of great things we want to try to push all them into this farm data tool platform. So pick a weather station and use this a GDD calculator to know how you can get your number. When you get your number, you can compare your GDD to our recommended threshold. So I'll be updating those numbers before next season. I don't expect you to remember all those numbers over Christmas time, but we'll be refreshing those numbers, and I would say 2025 would be still a year to try to see if those numbers needs any more work. But I have communication with the association. I think this study, we have reached a point. I'm happy with how these numbers came out, and over 2-3 years, when we validate those numbers, combining when I go to farms with growers, I think those numbers has some wiggle rooms for you to kind of play around. But fairly to say, it should serve most of the mainland growers. And if you are in Cape Breton or down in the South Shore, those numbers still going to give you some kind of guideline. And because whenever the year when you start using it, you're going to see the benefits of it, and you're going to appreciate. You can go back when you find something is wrong, and at the end of picking, you didn't feel happy with your yield. You go back to your, bloom data, whatever, to see all those information. So yeah, two very simple recommendations. Try to make things easy and try to encourage all of you to use it. Give it a try. If you haven't used it, if you need some tutorial, we can do that. But I think a lot of people are getting familiar with this, so happy to continue to hear feedback you have. And one thing I would say is, if you have the ability to keep the records, do it. Because what I found we keep all those weather stations number and then the bluebird number. whenever I found a problem in that area, I go back there and then compare the numbers year to year. Sometimes it gives you a different perspective and different story explaining why the yield is low or something is not right. So the farm data tool, if you go in there right now, is giving you a migrate site. That's the version 1. And if you hit migrate, it's going to take you to a version 2. You can play around it during Christmas time. And it has a lot of great stuff in there, including if you want to know your soil for your field, you might be able, you also that's available in the farm data tool. And that's a QR code if you don't know how to get there. And I'm going to there. So the acknowledgement, we appreciate the money or the funding from the association and from the growers. Yeah, and I'm glad the association was so keen on this. As soon as we said we have the weather station going on, can you have some money to start this? It's a very important research priority in the last couple of years, and we are glad this is giving some kind of foundation to do this. I also want to thank all the field owners that we have been working with and visit. And I think I missed one of the person in there. It's Belmo. It's Peter Swinkles. I'm sorry, I don't know if he's here. But yeah, Peter's name should be there too. And I also want to thank the Perennia field research team, all those research students that have been and the technicians that have been helping greatly in this study. I also thank the weather station program. Without the program, I don't think we can get this far. They have been working very hard over the past, and they continue to help us to maintain the weather station and also to install new weather stations there, and all the station owners. Yeah, that's every year when I go to the fields, I try to take as many pictures as I can. And this is my favorite picture for a year. If anybody wants to guess, where is this location or where is this field? Well, that's correct. I don't have a prize, but maybe Peter can. But yeah, last year, just 2 weeks, a couple of weeks ago when I was up there, and the harbor, the blueberry field with, the color. Too bad there's no a tree's color, but that's the most Nova Scotian picture you can get, I think.
Especially with the fescue in the front.
We don't want that. But Scott can do that.
Is there any questions?
Yeah. Stress on the prime? I don't know. I think, no, I don't know, because I don't think, I have experience with more than 30-degree days here, and I also didn't study into that, yeah. Yeah. Overripening? We can look into it, and I think Dr. Eaton's research also get into that point. I just didn't take that information because I think you don't want to wait that long. So we can find that information and see if that's useful for our current weather patterns management. Yes. Yeah, I think that's the plan. So we should have a March winter meeting. So we want to, in the March winter meeting, we can come back, maybe just talk about how to use the farm data tool, how to pick your weather station, and how to compare those numbers into those final recommend number we won't have. Yeah, we will. And I think there's a lot of opportunities. The chemical companies and the association will have lots of opportunity to do that. Yeah. And if you have any ideas before the April 1st, anything you want to, maybe we can do an online section. You can always talk to the association or send me an email or text. Yeah.
Thanks, Hugh. And I think I mentioned this yesterday, but I just want to remind a few people because both previous speakers spoke about this on the winter meeting. We won't actually be having a winter meeting in this building in spring. We're going to be doing a joint meeting with 3 maritime blueberry growers associations in Moncton. So it's going to be a larger 2-day meeting in Moncton this year. So we're looking at bringing in some keynote speakers. I think you're going to see some of the same people, but it's going to be the 3 associations together in the spring. So I just wanted to give people a heads up on that. We're still planning on it. But for the researchers that speak at all these meetings, you're only going to have to do it once this spring instead of 3 times. So that might save some time for you. Our next talk is updates on smart sprayer and machine vision technology for the wild blueberry industry. And Patrick Hennessy is here for that.
Make sure this is so forward.